Hello everyone, this is Giuseppe Sec, and in this video we're going to be going over web scraping. Web scraping is a way that you can programmatically go through the source code of a web page in order to extract relevant data that you may want to either archive or process and put into an algorithm or even optimize a search engine. And this is actually how websites like Google were able to optimize their search engine. They just have a bunch of web scrapers running around and just looking for websites in order to, optimize search results. In fact, this has become such a prevalent thing that websites will often implement a robots.txt file in order to tell more advanced web scrapers what areas they will allow to be scraped and what areas they don't allow of their website to be scraped. And this may be because certain endpoints are still in development. It may be that it may contain data that's not actually relevant to the web page or what the company wishes to have come up as search results. It may be that it's older architecture as well that may not be able to handle receiving thousands of requests from a web scraper, and it may actually cause a denial of service too. Um, that actually gets into the legality aspect of like web scraping too. So I will say that generally, as long as you're not causing a denial of service, web scraping is going to be okay. But you're going to want to check with your country's laws on it too, and you're also going to want to check with the website's terms of service too, especially if you're using an account on that website too. Um, that being said, what we're going to be doing for demonstration purposes is perfectly legal. It's legal to scrape eBay. So what we're going to be doing for demonstration is scraping eBay for ThinkPads that are compatible with LibreBoot. LibreBoot is a open source BIOS, and this is I guess in theory good for the people who are scared of the CIA's backdoor and the Intel processor. Oh, apparently this is theoretically a way that you can mitigate that. And you can see here, these are the ThinkPads that are compatible with LibreBoot. So what I'm going to do is just to scrape for the X220 in the first page of all of the results that we have here. So what I'm going to do, actually, this is a pretty long URL, so let me see if I can trim that. Okay, it looks like that NKW parameter is needed for the query, so let's just remove the rest of that. And what I'm going to do in VS Code is we're just going to import the requests library, rename that as rec because I'm lazy. And then we're going to import beautiful soup, which is an HTML parsing library. Then we're going to make a variable called URL, and that's going to have our URL. And I'm going to make a variable called R that's going to be the request library sending a GET request to the URL. And just to demonstrate what's happened so far, I'm just going to print out the output of that. And you can see we're looking at the source code of this page here. So now that we've got that, we're just going to create a variable called source that is going to be passed beautiful soup, which is then going to be parsing the source code of the page. And we're going to use the HTML parser method for that. Beautiful Soup also has a XML parser, but that's not really relevant. So now that we've got that, we can make a variable called listing that is just going to be source find all. And what we're looking for, what we're going to be scraping is the links to the listings. For example, this one here that leads to here. So what we can do in order to extract that, we can look at the source code, which we can see the title of the listing is enclosed in a span tag. That's not really the link though. If we scroll up, you can see an anchor tag, which there you go, there's the listing. So what we're going to be specifying, we're going to say find all anchor tags that have the class attribute of s item underscore underscore link, because you can also see that is the attribute. It's a recurring attribute for all the listings. So we're going to say find all A, because that's for the anchor tag, and then we're going to specify the class of s dash item underscore underscore link. And what that is doing, it's creating an array of all the anchor tags that are in the source code of that page. And even each instance of those anchor tags are arrays themselves, consisting of the attributes, consisting of the tags that are enclosed within the anchor tag, which in the case of the source code here, we can see that the span is also enclosed in the anchor tag. You can see that's the closing tag of the anchor tag, and that's where the title is. It's enclosed in the span. So it's basically an array within an array, kind of. And since we've got an array, what we can do, we can iterate over that and say for link in listing, we'll just print the link, and since each instance of these anchor tags are themselves arrays, they're going to contain an entry called the href, right? The href being the HTML reference, which in anchor tags is going to contain the URL. You can see there's the href there. That's the URL to the listing. So this is going to be really ugly, but it works. And there we go. There's the listings for every item that is on that page. These are also really long, so I wonder if we can just go with that. And yep, that resolves the listing too, so we don't really need all that junk. So what I'm going to do is create a regex to trim the failing stuff. We'll do final link equals re sub. Let me see if I can remember my regex. And then we're going to do that to, it's going to trim it to nothing, and we're going to pass it into the link with the href entry, and then pass in final link. And just for, yeah, that should be fine for now. Yes, cool. So I can kind of remember regex. That's cool. Now that we've got that, we also want to get the title of the listing. So let's do it this way. We kind of already got that, so we can do link.text, because the text is what is enclosed within the HTML tags. So that should be all right. I hate formatting, but let's do this. To specify when we have a different listing. I did mess up there. There we go. And we also want the price. So let's see here. Okay, luckily the price is enclosed in a span tag that has a class identifier of sitem__price. So that should be pretty easy to implement. Price equals source dot find all, looking for span with the class of sitem__price. And what we'll do now, and this is probably a janky way to do this, but we're going to be iterating over 2 arrays because we can assume that as long as there's a listing, it's going to have a price, right? So that shouldn't cause any problems with concurrency in the 2 arrays that we're going to be iterating over. So what I'm going to do is use the zip method in order to iterate over 2 arrays because the price is an array and the listing is an array. This should work. Fingers crossed. Let's do new line there, and then price.text. Oh no, it should be p.text. And then I think that'll be okay. And there we go. So now we've got the title of the listing, the link to the listing, and the price. What we could do now from here, we could iterate over a list of different models of ThinkPads because all we did was look for the X220. We could also implement a list that goes over the different pages of the results, right? Because we only did the first page of results, so we'd want to do that too. We could also implement a database so that we could insert into a database the results that we came up with, and that would be helpful for persistence and even implementing that in like another, like in an algorithm or some other type of feature that we want to have later on down the road. There's a lot of ways that we can basically extend what we've already done. But this was just a basic demonstration of how we can scrape a web page. Now, that's just with Beautiful Soup, though. A lot of websites have kind of made it difficult to scrape unless you have API access, like keys to their API. Immediately, I think of Twitter when thinking of that. And kind of what they do, if I can demonstrate here. I hope I don't come across anything sus, because Twitter is kind of sus. Who is this? Yeah, if I were just to go here. And do something like r equals requests.get URL, and then we were just to print the r.text. Like, that's going to print out source code of the page, but what's kind of annoying is it's not going to contain the actual tweets, because what's going on is there's a basic front page, and then there's a bunch of API requests that are populating empty fields within the front page that then that actually contain the tweets themselves. And this is a way that they've kind of make it so that the front page doesn't actually contain anything that can be scraped. And also, well, actually, I can demonstrate this. Let's pipe the output of that into an index.html. And then let's open the, where's my file manager? And where is, there we go. And you can see that's the output of the HTML that we got. It says there's nothing there because it's actually waiting for GraphQL APIs to populate the page with the tweets and stuff. This is kind of how they've made it difficult to scrape without API keys. However, there are projects on GitHub that were made to basically make it possible and easier to scrape GitHub. Scrape Twitter. SN Scrape is an example of this. This isn't just for Twitter either. This is for, Reddit, Telegram, Instagram, Mastodon. This is a pretty cool project actually. And if I can make like a quick demonstration here, am I in the right environment? I won't worry about that. Let's just do it from the terminal. Let me go over some of my notes too to make a quick demonstration. Okay, so I've already installed SNScrape, and you can just do that if you have a Python install, something like pip install SNScrape, right? And you can see I already got it installed. So what I'm going to do is let's do it on that one there, and then move all this stuff, and I will import SNScrape modules Twitter as scrape, and then I'm going to scrape for the user profile. This is let's do Giuseppe Sack. Oh, I hope I don't scrape anything cursed from my Twitter. And then we're going to scrape for the profile info from my Twitter. Profile, or pass it the profile argument. And then we'll say for I, and then tweet, because we're going to iterate over both of these, in enumerate user dot, oh wait, it was just user get items. That's the method for iterating over stuff in there. We'll say if I equals 0, because arrays start at 0 in Python. We will print. I'm just going to convert it to a string just because we can do that. Tweet dot date, and then something like that'll be okay, and then tweet dot content, and then we'll put a break just to break that, and sure, from Vim. Let's just do it from Vim. There you go. That's kind of hard to see. Here's the most recent tweet that I've made. You can see there's the date that it was made, and this was me. I don't know who I was adding, but I added somebody. But let's just not have a limitation on it and just have it scrape for all my most recent tweets. Oh, it broke. Okay, so we've got to get rid of the break. Yeah, okay. No. And it's just scraping for all my tweets. There you go. That you can see the cursed kind of stuff that I say. Oh, let me not. But yeah, there you go. That's one way that you can scrape Twitter without needing any API keys, and that's not against the law. I mean, it may be against their terms of service if you're using an authenticated account, but we're not really doing that. You can actually look through the source code of SNScrape to verify that they're not really for their Twitter scraper. What they're using is a API key here, right? So I think that's basically how they're doing it. But yeah, that's just one way that you can do it without having to use your own API keys. Anyway, yeah, that's hopefully that's actually useful too, because Twitter is going to be making developers pay for access to their API, and that kind of sucks because, you know, there's a lot of useful APIs and sometimes people just don't have the money for that. And Twitter's kind of just become such a public square, right, that it kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say that I think that Twitter should just be nationalized or something like that, but I will say that people should at least be able to archive the content that's on Twitter. So people should be able to pass it into algorithms, because that can be helpful for processing and, you know, keeping people accountable, considering that there's such a mass adoption of it, you know. But anyway, that I've gone on into several tangents. I hope that was really interesting, because I'm personally super interested in scraping, and I think that you guys should be too. And hopefully, just with that demonstration alone, that can give some developers an idea of how they can implement a bot or a scraper on Twitter that won't require them to fork over cash, you know, to the Musk man. Anyway, bye.